Folks, welcome to the Guardium Data Protection Level 2 Seller Enablement presentation. In this presentation, sellers will learn about the Guardium Data Security Portfolio, how it can bring value to clients, and how it can help sellers achieve sales revenue targets. In today's economy, data powers economic growth. The most profitable industries create, collect, and manipulate information like intellectual property, employee data, or client data. Companies need to know where their data is located so they can protect it, control it, and make sure it's accounted for, because data is also the primary target for attackers. This presentation will show you why clients need data security and how to engage them in conversations about how IBM can help them protect their data. Please do reach out if you have any questions about this material. Before we begin, I strongly suggest you review the client presentation, which sets the stage for the material covered here. You'll find the link on this slide. This presentation helps sellers understand the details of the data security marketplace, the opportunity, target buyers, conversation starters, and the IBM Security Guardium offerings to address client pain points. Also discussed is an overview of the competitive landscape with some responses to common objections that sellers are likely to encounter. Finally, a list of resources and contacts that sellers can reference for more information. The following section describes market trends to be aware of, as well as analyst information that will better prepare sellers to discuss security challenges. According to data from multiple analyst reports like Gartner and Forrester, the data security market as a whole is about $4 billion, and it's growing at a compound annual growth rate of 14%. The key value that security vendors offer to their clients can be categorized into three buckets: risk, compliance, and protection. Clients look to reduce risks by ensuring that their high-value data is secured and protected. Clients also need to simplify compliance woes with consistent data governance, automated tools to demonstrate compliance, and reduce costs. Clients must also protect their sensitive data, no matter where it resides, on-premise, in a hybrid cloud, on the edge, with continuous protection as the data landscape evolves. Forward-leaning companies who will lead in the next era are embracing change at an accelerated pace, with business priorities driving their digital transformation. Their entire value chain, employees, suppliers, partners, and customers, need to access data using multiple devices from distributed and remote locations. Data has become a shared resource between users and communities. To move fast and at scale, companies are using AI and analytics and more modular containerized applications. They're embracing new infrastructure approaches with servers and networks distributed across hybrid cloud environments to match the right workload to the right cloud environment for their business. The success of this digital transformation is dependent on one universal, non-negotiable requirement, which is cybersecurity. The problem is that many organizations view security with a least effort to comply approach to adhere to regulations. But make no mistake about it, in our new digital economy, trust will prove to be a competitive advantage. Traditional security can keep pace. It wasn't built to handle the level and complexity of the transformation that's going on today. Security leaders have too much to do, too many tools from too many vendors, and too much complexity in their processes, all of which can lead to too many alerts with not enough skilled staff to deal with them. As companies modernize IT and move to hybrid cloud environments, their data footprint is expanding. That expanded footprint creates a bigger attack surface for hackers to get to your data. To meet the challenge, security leaders are deploying dozens of point tools to protect their data and assets. But this ad hoc strategy is disconnected, insufficiently integrated, and reactive. To make matters worse, traditional security programs still operate in silos. Sure, there are connections between the silos, and it's a good start, but it lacks the visibility and context needed to gain critical insight to advance business safety in our era. Simply put, companies need to transform their security program to keep up with their business. But with too much to do, too many vendors, and too much complexity, and too many alerts, they were having to rethink this approach. Data is moving everywhere, shifting from on-prem to the cloud, spurred by digital transformation and the desire to leverage data for business value. As more data moves to the cloud, the obstacles and security vulnerabilities grow. Hybrid multi-cloud is thick with regulatory requirements for data security, data privacy, and data storage. And data continues to be a prime target for theft because it can be monetized on the black market or used in ransomware attacks. As the data footprint expands, so does the attack surface and the potential impact on an organization's bottom line. The independent cybersecurity research group, the Ponemon Institute, publishes an annual cost of a data breach report. There are several pain points from that report that eloquently illustrate the high cost of not implementing the appropriate security controls. A data breach can have widespread impact across an organization, from reputation loss to legal fines, remediation fees, client retention, and so on, all of which impact on an organization's bottom line. Ponemon reports that the average cost of a breach is $4.88 million US. Regulations aren't going away. In fact, they're proliferating. Organizations with a high level of compliance failures, which result in fines, penalties, and lawsuits, experienced an average cost of a data breach that is $2.3 million US higher than for organizations with low levels of compliance failures. Clients need a solution that simplifies and accelerates the compliance process through automation. More AI and automation meant lower breach costs. The more organizations used AI and automation, the lower their average breach costs. That correlation is striking and one of the key findings of this year's report. Organizations not using AI and automation had average costs of $5.72 million US, while those making extensive use of AI and automation had average costs of $3.84 million US, a saving of $1.88 million. Another metric that can have an impact on an organization's bottom line is the time it takes to detect and contain a data breach. The longer it takes to remediate, the greater the impact of the breach. This metric is a measure of how effective an organization's incident response and containment process is. On average, it took 277 days to identify and contain a breach. To put this in perspective, if a breach occurring on January 1st and took 277 days to identify and contain, the breach wouldn't be contained until October 4th of that year. Insider threat attacks is one of the critical challenges that the industry is facing. It refers to malicious activity or breaches that occur by known users when they abuse elevated privileges to navigate through the data environment to get access to the company's sensitive data or crown jewels. Anyone can be an insider. Employees, vendors, criminal insiders, or even negligent employees who have access to admin IDs and passwords, who can gain access to data sources. They are difficult to detect and even harder to contain since there are multiple touch points and systems they can access as they move laterally across the data environment in search of data. To emphasize the point, it takes 77 days to detect and contain an insider attack. These insider attacks have a financial concern to the organization as well. If they go unnoticed for excessively long, say more than 90 days, the financial impact of a slow response can be upwards of $13.7 million US. Below, you can refer to and compare the changing costs in the Ponemon report spanning the last few years. You will notice costs decreasing with awareness and some increase with changing landscapes, particularly burgeoning cloud environments. Insider threats start with recognizing the challenges to identify and respond to these types of incidents. Here's what makes insider threats more challenging than they should be. Insider threats is not just about the known bad actors. It's about knowing insiders who have elevated privileges and gaining more visibility into their behavior patterns across the data environment to spot a threat. Response is another key challenge. If security analysts are manually searching for a needle in the haystack and reacting to an attack after the fact, the response will be too little, too late. It's not enough to just be reactive. Threat detection and response needs to be more proactive and automated to identify and respond in a more real-time fashion to minimize the damage. Static policies are another challenge that can negatively impact an organization. When access policies remain unchanged or are not fine-tuned over their life cycle to account for changes in employee roles and responsibilities, the policies are less effective as they drift from the original baseline. These are the challenges clients face and need to be addressed so that clients are more proactive and respond in an optimal way. IBM believes a zero trust framework enables clients to manage the data security program in a more cohesive fashion. A more aligned strategy that enables clients to identify and respond to insider threats. It's an approach that goes back to trust nothing, verify everything. A framework, a principle that says verify every access and activity that is happening from the application to the users to monitoring the data sources that contain the organization's crown jewels. It's about ensuring the right user has the right access to information for the right reasons, with policies that are well documented so organizations can execute on them in a secure way. IBM has a point of view where we believe an integrated solution that is implemented around zero trust considers that connected nature of a solution with a connected solution that includes data, threat management, and identity controls to provide the necessary visibility and delivers on these four areas. A data security program builds on zero trust fundamentals should include a way to enforce and monitor access policies and shifts with changes in employee roles and responsibilities. Zero trust is also about detecting threats and understanding user activity. It leverages AI, machine learning, and analytics to understand patterns and user behavior to spot outliers and surfer up potential threats. That's the advantage of having visibility across an integrated system. The third aspect of zero trust is a way to respond to threats in an automated fashion. It's an approach that is integrated in nature, where alerts from one system, say an IAM system, can be consumed by another system like a SIM system and enriched with additional insights from a data security solution like Guardium Data Protection. This connected approach can more thoroughly analyze what's happening in real time and invoke an automated incident response process to address and remediate the threat. Finally, adopting a continuous improvement approach over the data protection policies through periodic updates so that access controls are in line with user access to sensitive data. This is the zero trust framework that IBM believes clients should adopt in order to gain the visibility and response needed for their data security program. This slide looks at how data security fits into the zero trust framework by visibility at the data level that includes three core components to understand the context behind why a user is accessing data. Who is performing the action at the data level and who is accessing a specific asset? We need to know where the specific user is requesting from, especially with ransomware attacks on the rise. We see attackers originating from different geographies. Hence, this becomes a natural attribute to track. The where also extends to trusted users. Clients need to know where they are and what device they are coming in from to validate whether they are authorized to view certain data. Finally, another critical dimension that clients need visibility into is what data that users or applications are requesting to access. These are the core components around enabling a zero trust framework. Who is accessing the data? Where's the request coming from? And what data is being accessed? This gives the context around the data and how it needs to be protected. To ensure adequate protection is around the data, clients need to define what is it that they want to protect. Is it a privacy data related to personal contact information or perhaps personal health records? Is it compliance related data like PCI or HIPAA? For some clients, it may be business critical information associated with intellectual property or trade secrets. Knowing the type of data and making the connection with the who, what, and where gives the visibility to take the appropriate action on the user. The way to obtain visibility is through cameras or agents that can watch the data. Using agents, clients can view what activity a user is performing. Agents can capture who is accessing data and what has been done to it, for example. Are they creating new data, modifying data, or exfiltrating sensitive data outside of the company? Agents give clients the ability to monitor data and help enforce a consistent policy within the data environment. Meaning, if trusted users have the appropriate authority, they are allowed to perform certain actions on the data. If not trusted or authorized, then the policy is enforced and access to that data is denied. To effectively enforce policies, clients need to collect data from the agent so that the system can take the appropriate action on the user to allow or deny access depending on the sensitivity of that data. This next section covers information on how to better engage with clients. Take a few minutes to review this slide, which covers some characteristics of potential prospects for Guardium data protection. A key characteristic is an organization that has a culture which regards technology as an enabler. As a result of this, these organizations want to leverage the experience and want to work with a worldwide security vendor like IBM. Any Guardium opportunity will likely have a primary focus on one of the following client pain points, including data discovery and classification, data protection, activity monitoring, and threat mitigation, or regulatory compliance. To help pinpoint client challenges, sellers can begin with broad line questioning around cloud migration, compliance, or risk detection, as highlighted in this slide. When you talk to potential clients, look for some of these possible entry points to get a foot in the door. Look for signals like organizations who may be running on-prem databases but may be interested in cloud migration. Look for organizations that may have a competitive product that may not be meeting their needs, especially around compliance. Look for companies that are interested in complying with the latest citizen data regulations, things like GDPR, CPA, and finally, there may be even clients who are approaching hardware upgrades who may have the need to modernize their data security solutions. These all could be opportunities for Guardium data protection. This slide covers typical buyer and influencer personas for data security purchases. We'll also discuss some of the key roles in any organization. So these include senior executives who are the influencers in large enterprises responsible for key initiatives and approve the budget for them. These senior executives can also be the buyers in small to medium or commercial accounts. Junior executives, who are the most frequent buyers of the tech but can also influence the purchase. End users and practitioner roles, like database administrators and IT managers, are the key influencers and validators of the technology. The following is a list of job roles and descriptions for key security stakeholders. The Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, is responsible for establishing and maintaining the enterprise strategy to ensure information assets and technologies are adequately protected. They adhere to compliance, respond to incidents, establish appropriate standards and controls, manage security technologies, and direct the establishment and implementation of policies and procedures. Some of their pain points include meeting industry compliance needs, adoption of a zero trust strategy, cloud transformation, reducing security risk, and resolving security incidents. The Chief Information Officer, or CIO, oversees IT strategy and runs the internal computer systems and operations. They provide an executive level interface between the tech department and the rest of the business as they understand a broad range of technologies and their business relevance. Their pain points include the digital transformation journey, providing frictionless experience for users, change management, and reducing costs while modernizing applications. The Chief Technology Officer, or CTO, is responsible for overseeing the development and dissemination of technology for external customers, vendors, and other clients to help improve and increase business. The Vice President of Information Technology, or VP of IT, oversees the company's technology strategy, ensuring that existing and future technology aligns with business needs, objectives, and values. The typical involvement of the VP of IT revolve around developing enterprise technology policies and standards, deciding on technology implementations, and maintaining the technology inventory and infrastructure. The line of business the line of business leader is responsible for their allocated line of business. This responsibility can range from pure marketing, design, and pricing to promotion for the full line of business. Among others, one of their biggest pain points is aligning IT spending with business strategy. The Chief Data Officer, or CDO, is responsible for a range of data-related functions that may include data management, ensuring data quality, and creating data strategy. They may also be responsible for data analytics and business intelligence, and is concerned with fidelity or trustworthiness of organizations' data. The bottom line, CDOs are focused on overall data security and data governance. The Chief Risk Officer, Chief Compliance Officer, Chief Governance Officer are tasked with assessing and mitigating significant competitive, regulatory, and technological threats to an enterprise. They are concerned with business continuity as well as the overall compliance posture of the organization and whether current data controls meet regulatory requirements and minimize organizational risk and ensure privacy. The Chief Compliance Officer, CCO, ensures that organization is in compliance with various regulatory requirements and that employees are in adherence with internal procedures and policies. The Chief Governance Officer ensures the effective delivery of strategic governance, legal and regulatory compliance, record management, and public government relations of the organization. The Chief Privacy Officer, or CPO, is responsible for managing risks related to information privacy and regulations. The Compliance or Risk Manager is responsible for developing and overseeing control systems to prevent or deal with violations of legal guidelines and internal policies, evaluating the efficiency of controls and improving them continuously. The Security Analyst, the Data Security Specialist, and the Data Administrator. These are roles that are responsible for the day-to-day use of the data security tools and is concerned with maintaining uninterrupted and secure access to data, as well as discovering and understanding threats to the data environment. The previous slide discussed roles within an organization that are key in the decision-making process. Once an opportunity has been uncovered, Identify the right individuals to engage in a data security conversation. This slide lists some targeted prospecting questions to use for specific personas who have specific data challenges. This slide will help guide a discussion with a client around specific security challenges, detecting threats, security-sensitive data, and regulatory compliance. Review the typical challenges clients face in each of these areas and use the corresponding questions to get a deeper understanding of the issue and how Guardium Data Protection can help. For insider threats, start with questions that probe into how quickly threats can be detected and blocked, or ask about how they enforce the concept of least privilege, which gives a user the minimum levels of access needed to perform their job. On the topic of securing sensitive data, probe into how they identify and locate where it's stored, or how they ensure only the right employees are accessing it. For prospects who are dealing with regulatory challenges, find out how much time they spend running reports and preparing for audits. These are some questions that can lead into a discussion around the strengths of Guardium Data Protection. So far, we've covered the security market and client background. Now let's look at how IBM Security Guardium can help clients with their security needs. The following section discusses the tool in a bit more detail. Organizations need a smarter, continuous approach to data security with a set of capabilities that lock down their environment's attack surface and give them the confidence to aggressively pursue business strategies. These capabilities cover 5 strategic areas: discover, protect, analyze, respond, and comply. Discover and classify sensitive data across on-prem and cloud data stores. Organizations need a complete view of their data landscape in order to effectively assess, prioritize, and take action on threats and other issues. Protect sensitive data through policies and data activity monitoring. Organizations need to continuously track and monitor their sensitive data to detect and respond to suspicious user behavior. Address any exposures and vulnerabilities, and closely guard against excessive entitlements and privileges. Analyze and harden against risks and vulnerabilities with advanced analytics and assessments. Security teams need to understand where the greatest risks are in the environment, which data sources may be at risk, and the potential risky users attempting to gain access to sensitive data. They need to improve the detection of vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. Respond to threats in real time and send actionable alerts to security operating systems. When potential threats are detected, organizations need to be able to instantly block or shut down a suspicious activity and open a case for deeper investigation. Security analysts need to gain access to key insights that enable faster recovery and reduce the business impact. Comply with data privacy and security regulations and simplify auditing and reporting. Many traditional data security platforms have become overwhelmed by the increased volume of data security and auditing data, whether that data comes from monitoring a greater number of platforms and events, or whether it is audit-related data that must be stored for longer periods of time. Automated processes are necessary to make this workload manageable. Guardium Data Protection can bring these capabilities to bear and deliver meaningful business value. Guardium Data Protection is the flagship product of the Guardium portfolio. It's been a tremendous asset for IBM since it was acquired back in 2009. Guardium's primary purpose is to help organizations discover and classify where their most sensitive and regulated data is, and put controls around it to secure it. Discovery and classification becomes important as the size of an organization grows, and sensitive information like credit card numbers and personal information data propagate to multiple locations. This often happens in the context of mergers and acquisitions, or when legacy systems have outlasted their original owners. As a result, sensitive data may exist beyond the knowledge of the person who currently owns that data. This is a common yet extremely vulnerable scenario, since you cannot protect sensitive data unless you know it exists. Guardium monitors user activity to analyze who is accessing data and recommends actions to shut down unauthorized access from insider threats and external attacks. Guardium also integrates with other security tools to provide context around an attack as well as an incident response tools to remediate an attack. Finally, Guardium plays a key role to help document the controls clients have in place for regulatory purposes, including separation of duties. It simplifies auditing and reporting with pre-built policies, workflows, and reports to help speed up the time to respond to an event. Guardium Data Protection is built to protect a client's data, no matter where it resides, across the hybrid multi-cloud environment with centralized policy enforcement and management. For a complete list of supported databases and platforms, there is extensive supporting material in the Guardium documentation, but as shown, Guardium covers all major data sources, including databases, big data, files, mainframe, and various cloud data sources. Guardium Data Protection offers numerous deployment options to suit a client's environment, supporting deployment on several cloud platforms, and is available as a hardware or software offering. Let's take a closer look at how IBM Security Guardium Data Protection delivers on this set of capabilities. For Discover, Guardium Data Protection discovers and classifies both on-prem and cloud data sources. Guardium supports data discovery using a policy-based approach. Out-of-the-box and custom classifier policies can be defined to perform catalog or metadata discovery using sensitive data, regular expressions, and patterns. It can also be used to perform exact data match and unstructured data discovery. For Protect, Guardium Data Protection does what it does best, which is data activity monitoring via rule-based security and compliance policies to log and alert on unauthorized data access and suspicious activity. Guardium Data Protection provides both agent-based and agentless methods to monitor data sources. It supports multiple monitoring methods under each of these categories based on the type of data source and where it is located, in the cloud or in the data center. This presentation will review these monitoring approaches in more detail. For Analyze, Guardium Data Protection offers vulnerability assessments to scan data infrastructures, such as databases, big data warehouses, big data environments, and so on, to detect vulnerabilities and suggest remedial actions. The solution identifies exposures such as missing patches, weak passwords, unauthorized changes, and misconfigured privileges. Guardium Data Protection also offers analytical tools for deeper investigations in risky users and priority cases. For Respond, Guardium Data Protection helps surface data-level security threats to improve security operations with integrations to ServiceNow and to security information and event solutions such as Splunk and QRadar. It enables security orchestration and response with IBM Security SOAR. There are also options to take real-time actions with blocking and redaction via agents in order to stop potential threats as soon as they are spotted. The right side of the screen shows a vulnerability assessment with a risk score of various data sources, including the number of anomalies by source, the severity of the anomaly, and a drop-down to take further action on it. Lastly, for Comply, Guardium Data Protection can help accelerate a client's ability to address data security and privacy compliance with easy-to-set-up compliance policies and monitoring, a data access audit trail, entitlement reporting, and compliance reports. Guardium provides out-of-the-box report templates to get started with compliance monitoring for various regulations and standards. It also offers options to define custom audit workflows and reports to tailor the needs of various teams. Once up and running, tracking and reporting can be automated. The right side is a screenshot that tracks progress towards compliance of 3 regulations. Guardium is uniquely positioned to address key data security challenges with a modern approach to secure a complex, hybrid, multi-cloud world. The tool is intelligent. Many traditional data security platforms have become overwhelmed by the increased volume of data across heterogeneous environments. Customers need to ensure these high-value data sources have comprehensive data protection to understand where the security events exist and take the appropriate action to quickly investigate and remediate. Guardium provides at-a-glance views that call out high-risk areas, a library of rich advanced analytics to automate threat hunting and prioritization, and options to investigate further to narrow in on a course of action. The tool is adaptive. As enterprises adopt new technologies, their data, which is stored across hybrid multi-cloud environments, is increasing in volume, variety, and velocity. As a modern solution, Guardium allows customers to select from a variety of security mechanisms to fit the data protection need, offers a range of agent and agentless connectors to monitor on-prem and cloud data assets, maintains continuous visibility over structured and unstructured data with discovery and classification, as well as centralized policy management and enforcement, so that a client's data security program with Guardium can keep pace as the data and environment grow and change. The tool is connected. IT and security professionals are under high pressure to maximize the use of their resources and time and help streamline the burden of security management and audit reporting. To help reduce silos with tools and data, Guardium streamlines work streams to accelerate responses to risk and threats, allowing analysts to open tickets efficiently and to share actionable insights with the SOC. There are pre-built integrations and open APIs to facilitate greater communication between security tools and teams, and the process of proving regulatory compliance is automated to create reports quickly and get them in front of the right people for sign-off. In the previous section, we discussed what Guardium does and the capabilities it delivers with: monitoring, threat detection, and simplifying compliance. The next section that we get into covers the technology behind these capabilities to describe how Guardium accomplishes these things. Here is an illustration of how users can access data. One is through direct application access, where end users log into an application and the application connects them to a data source to get the information back. Second is through direct access to back-end data by data teams, database admins, engineers, or other data stewards. Since the data sources contain sensitive data, they need to be monitored to understand what is happening at the data level in terms of access and activity which needs to be stored for auditing purposes. That's where agents come in to watch what is happening across the data environment. There are a few ways to do monitoring. One is with an agent deployed at data source level. Second option is with an agent deployed in the networks between the application and data source, a sort of man in the middle. And the third option is an agentless approach where the data source provides the native log files to Guardium either using universal connector plugins or integrating with APIs directly with cloud event streams such as AWS Kinesis and Azure Event Hubs. These are the monitoring approaches that Guardium can perform that give visibility and attributes at the data level to understand what was touched, by who, when, where, and the type of an anomaly if a threat is detected. When speaking with clients, this is the conversation you should have with them. Help them understand what they will get, the context behind every security event, to get the insights into what is happening at a data level to either allow or deny access in real time. On the right are 3 value propositions that Guardium delivers with its monitoring capability. Guardium gives the visibility across traditional on-prem, cloud, or hybrid environments to protect data. Guardium leverages intelligence and active threat analytics to surface up security events. Guardium also delivers workflows and policies that are available out of the box to enablement consistent enforcement across the data environment. Since compliance is a guiding factor to enable data security for clients, Guardium helps overcome and simplify many of the compliance challenges. Now let's look at why monitoring choices are important. The driving reasons for the majority of Guardium new business is for compliance monitoring, or they have a specific need to meet a compliance requirement, and each industry has their own requirements around compliance. Pharmaceutical companies want to protect their drug formulations. Financial institutions want to protect customer financial records, or distribution companies want to protect their mode of operation. Each customer has critical data that needs protecting, and each has their own compliance reasons to protect their data. As customers evolve their infrastructure and move from on-premise to cloud or even a managed database environment, IBM must help with their move, and that's exactly what Guardium does with its flexible monitoring approach. There are multiple choices available for clients to adapt to whatever data source they have. Even obscure data sources can be monitored with the help of developer tools to build custom connectors to get at the data. While compliance does not contribute to the bottom line, it does help clients make a better product or service that helps clients stay in business. And criteria like separation of duties and real-time threat response for sensitive data are all driven by compliance as well. Given the burden and resource demands that compliance puts on our clients, there is a huge need to help them automate compliance monitoring tasks. So once the industry niche or compliance drivers are identified, IBM will help clients find a way to monitor and protect any and all data. To monitor and adapt to all your sensitive data sources, and on-prem or in the cloud, Guardium supports a variety of agent-based and agentless connectors to match protection to the sensitivity of the data. For agent-based monitoring, Guardium supports STAPs, which are installed at the data source, and external STAPs, which are installed inline for containerized and cloud data sources. While these agent-based monitoring options require a minimum investment to maintain on an ongoing basis, it supports a critical need to monitor highly sensitive data in real time to prevent insider threats. Supported agentless options include universal connector plugins and cloud event streams, such as AWS Kinesis and Azure Event Hubs. The Universal Connector is a lightweight open-source framework used to develop plugins for Guardium to monitor cloud and on-prem data sources using native audit logs. Customers and partners are encouraged to build their own plugins using the Universal Connector framework. These two options are easier to deploy, but are better suited for less sensitive data. The STAP is a hardware device inserted at a specific point in a network where data can be accessed for testing or troubleshooting purposes. STAPs are mainly used to monitor the data traffic between 2 points in an on-prem environment. The external access point, or ETAP, are used to monitor data traffic in a cloud environment. Now that we've described how Guardium can monitor any and all data, let's look at how Guardium uses intelligence and advanced analytics to detect these threats in real time. Having default or static data security policies is not a best practice when the end goal is to establish a proactive security posture. Having options to collect monitoring data is one. However, the ability to detect and respond is crucial for understanding the security posture. Traditional data security programs are typically based on policy violations, which are a result of certain data access or activity determined to be deviating from the norm. That is, the access rules defined within the policy. Security policies, just like configurations, typically drift over time. Privileged users move across teams, service IDs are no longer needed, yet continue to exist, and so on. These are security blind spots that teams need to be aware of. Static policies do not help uncover users or IDs that still have privileged access that prevent insiders from performing authorized actions that may lead to scenarios such as data exfiltration. Users who are not aware of their actions or perhaps have malicious intent can go unnoticed for long periods of time with just policy-based enforcement. Adding to all this are the declining perimeters that are driving towards an open and connected architecture. However, security baselines need to be revalidated or reestablished in order to adjust security controls to keep up with the changes. The notion of Security Operations Center and having a security information and event management tool is great. However, having to deal with excessive alerts tend to have the reverse effect, with bad signal-to-noise ratio. Insider threats pose a significant challenge. Security strategy needs to be aligned with the mitigating risks associated with threats and for which having appropriate detection in place is crucial. IBM Security believes that detection can be improved. Detection of threat must be close to real time. Early detection of anomalous security events help in getting ahead of insider threats that typically move laterally and cause damage. So ensuring clients are able to surface up threats as they are happening is ideal. There is a direct correlation between response time and cost of an attack. The longer it takes to respond, the financial impact goes up as well. However, with faster remediation and response, organizations can reduce the negative impact of a potential data breach by as much as $14 per record breached. There is an abundance of data that can be used to uncover these threats using monitoring data that provides the context at the data level and across different solutions to improve the response time. AI and machine learning algorithms have also come a long way and now make it easier to automate and look for unknowns. This is critical for teams that have resource constraints, where they can augment skills that are otherwise difficult to acquire. They also help teams to work smarter. Finally, security programs should be designed to address the quick wins, which includes compliance as a priority for the business. Security teams need to look for ways in which they can drive compliance baselines with the tools they have and optimize the process to be more automated. In addition, clients can leverage available tool sets for outlier detection and threat hunting to deliver faster response and better outcomes for the business. Now, let's take a look at how AI and machine learning algorithms contained in Guardium can be used to drive actions, what we refer to as providing actionable intelligence with Guardium. Data security starts with being able to collect monitoring data across data environments and having it centralized inside Guardium. After this, Guardium, with policies that are enforced, can shed light into all aspects of data access, the who, what, where, and why, by enabling outlier mining and threat finder modules in data activity monitoring. Guardium can look for patterns and behaviors that deviate from the norm to suggest anomalies or risks. Security events flowing in as part of monitoring data collection are put through outlier mining process to create statistical models with attributes focused on the who, when, how, and what to surface up common attack vectors and associated threats. This is delivered with active threat analytics inside Guardium. In addition, the ability to identify risky users based on their actions, suspicious SQL commands, time of operation, user location, etc., are all indicators of risky behavior. A feature of Guardium known as Risk Spotter helps dynamically populate a group of top risky users, and this can enable periodic validation and ensure you are able to get to the threats in real time. These features provide a spotlight on potentially risky situations and users to help you to know where to focus your resources. These features ensure there are actionable outcomes. They provide alerts and notifications in near real time, provide insights with dashboards, and can be used to drive audit processes for compliance requirements. The Risk Spotter feature is focused on helping to find the attackers, and the Active Threat Analytic feature is focused on the attacks themselves. Together, they provide a view on the active threats in the environment. In the previous section, we looked at how Guardium uses intelligence and advanced analytics to detect threats. Now let's look at how it responds to threats in an automated fashion and simplifies compliance. Compliance-related requirements ensure organizations have minimum levels of controls when it comes to protecting sensitive customer and privacy data. Therefore, ensuring audit readiness is a vital function of any security team, and security solutions need to enable security teams to prepare and demonstrate they adhere to these requirements. Guardium helps security teams simplify their adherence to compliance by providing various capabilities with out-of-the-box policy templates for various common regulations such as Payment Card Industry and Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and others. Policy-based monitoring that helps collect and capture necessary data-level access information for auditing purposes. Audit processes and workflows that help in structuring reporting and required approvals. Compliance monitoring using Guardium Smart Assistant feature helps clients get started to configure monitoring for GDPR, PCI, SOX, and other security standards and regulations. These unique capabilities help establish a collaborative yet continuous compliance program for the organization. In the past, data protection programs were compliance-focused and tactical. After years of headlines, breaches, and damaged customer confidence, security has now taken on a data-centric strategic focus. The ever-expanding proliferation of data, current data exfiltration trends, combined with the need to understand ever-broadening data access needs and threats within and beyond the bounds of organizations, has dynamically changed data protection and the use of solutions in support of it. Security teams need to leverage an integrated environment to automate workflows that spans across security solutions. This will help in responding to insider threats with confidence and, more importantly, ensure the root cause is determined and attack surface, vulnerabilities or other exposures are remediated or eliminated. Guardium provides the ability for security teams to deliver an end-to-end methodology that includes investigation, remediation, and response, in addition to identifying the threat. Guardium can deliver the security anomalies identified for user behavior analytics to augment the SOC operations. Similarly, Guardium threats can be investigated with integration into ServiceNow to treat these threats in a prioritized way to improve collaboration across teams. If certain threats and anomalies are determined to be highly critical incidents, incident response playbooks can be launched from Guardium. Security operations teams need visibility into security risk posture by being able to understand security violations down to the data level and assess impact to the organization's ability to deliver business outcomes and services, but more importantly, protect their customer trust and privacy. Here is an illustration of how our customers can detect and respond to insider threats. In this case, specifically focused on data exfiltration. Data exfiltration, where insiders having privileged access to sensitive resources such as data with malicious intent, or inadvertently can enable attacks that misuse the access to copy or export out sensitive customer data. We believe organizations can take a phased approach to detecting and preventing such attacks. And here we provide an overview of how IBM's Zero Trust approach, using an integrated set of solutions across data, identity, and security operations and risk, can help with this. All aspects of the solution, from enforcement to detection to response, can be matured over time with incremental improvements to the solution, technology, and process. In this scenario, a foundational program can be operationalized that would entail defining data security policies and being able to identify and take action using policy-based violations and analytics. Guardium could be used to define data-level security policies, to detect policy violations, and with integration to SIM and IR, an end-to-end solution can be implemented. This can be matured with user verification for all privileged access and activity. Integration with identity and access management solutions to enrich and also in real time perform verification enables organizations to adhere to Zero Trust principles. When optimized with enforcement, using pinpoint policies and detection with highly trained machine learning models and response along with effective playbooks and remediation done iteratively, can help organizations deliver an effective program that can mitigate insider threat risk. This section covers the 3 key use cases to highlight client challenges and the capabilities that the IBM Security Guardium portfolio can deliver to address these pain points. Security teams across the globe are challenged to analyze and interpret billions of events to uncover attacks on their data infrastructure. Guardium uses proprietary advanced analytics to help data security teams uncover areas of risk, emerging threat patterns, and potential application hijacks. Techniques like predictive analytics and outlier detection help users locate threats and anomalies within the environment to identify suspicious behavior, potential fraud, or threat-related activities in near real time. Data breaches continue to be a huge problem for security and IT leaders. Attacks are getting more sophisticated, the volume of attacks per year is increasing, and with the shift to more modern hybrid cloud environments, their attack surface is compounding as well. Improving risk outcomes through better detection and responsiveness is key to minimizing the overall impact of sophisticated attacks. Guardium continuously monitors all data access operations in real time to detect unauthorized actions based on detailed contextual information, the who, what, where, when, and how of each data access. Guardium Data Protection reacts automatically to help prevent unauthorized or suspicious activities by privileged insiders and potential hackers. Compliance and privacy mandates continue to be the compelling reasons to act for clients who need data protection around their sensitive data. Most organizations struggle with understanding the impact of evolving compliance regulations and overlapping audit requirements that can be a time and resource-intensive process. With Guardium, organizations can automate and streamline compliance processes with out-of-the-box policy creation to monitor and report on how users have been interacting with data over time. This section covers the pricing for IBM Security Guardium to help sellers prepare a quote for a client's configuration. This slide captures the 3 pricing models that sellers are likely to encounter in the field, based as the models evolved over the last few years to simplify the purchase process for clients. Resource units were released in June of 2021 to adapt to the Cloud Pak for security licensing model with a single part number. Resource value units were previously used prior to RU licensing. Guardium products were licensed using either counting of data sources, servers or nodes, or counting of processing cores used by data sources that are under active production monitoring. Processor value units was the legacy pricing module that were originally used to price a Guardium solution. These PVUs reference the processing or compute capacity associated with data sources that are under monitoring and are typically estimated to be the same as the count of processor cores referred to as CPU, vCPU, or CPU cores. This slide looks at the steps to price a Guardium deal. How to price a deal for resource unit. First, work with the client to determine where the data sources are located, on-prem or cloud. Second, for an on-prem solution, determine the number of managed servers that will be connecting to Guardium. If the client wants a cloud-based solution, determine the number of virtual processor cores, VPCs, that will be connecting to Guardium. Once a seller determines these metrics, use the resource unit calculator to determine the number of resource units for the deal. The pricing example shown on the slide is for a client who needs Guardium Data Protection and Guardium Insights to monitor 670 database servers, MVS. The price of this deal is determined by converting MVS to RU and then applying the price per RU to get the total. This section covers the key competitors that sellers will likely encounter in the field, including insights into Guardium strengths and competitive weaknesses to help battle the competition. Common objections are also discussed in this section. When it comes to Oracle, Guardium has several key strengths that we can talk about. One is the ability to support a truly hybrid multi-cloud environment. And secondly, by being able to offer data-centric capabilities such as discovery, vulnerability assessments, as well as risk analysis, is really where Oracle has weaknesses. As you see here, Oracle does not have a unified solution that provides visibility across all of their environments, and additionally, they have very limited data discovery capabilities and limited vulnerability assessments. These capabilities are often limited to Oracle-specific data sources. So with Oracle, we can highlight that Guardium is able to enforce data security policies consistently and to be able to correlate security incidents and events from across a disparate data environment. This is a vendor that you come across quite often in your discussion with customers, and the ability for Guardium to outshine Imperva and the JSONA solution is mentioned in this slide by being able to provide dynamic support where we have capabilities that can be chosen by the customers depending on the environment that they have. We also have the ability to monitor containerized and cloud-native data sources using external STAP, which we believe is a gap in Imperva's capabilities. Secondly, we provide ease of use and integration. Guardium integrates with a number of products that are out there, both IBM as well as third-party products. And in terms of providing integration support, we believe Guardium is unmatched. Finally, being able to deliver all of this in a modernized platform, that's really where Guardium customers find a modernized solution that can be deployed flexibly across different environments and also take advantage of cloud-native capabilities such as auto-scaling, native disaster recovery, low latency, etc. As you see here, some of the weaknesses that Imperva has is not only around data collection, but it's also about how the data that's collected is surfaced up to provide insight into threats, on the ability to visualize what the various threats themselves are. Clients must also have very deep data security skills to use Imperva's offering. We believe clients must have specific SQL skills to run a report, must fall to the command line, and follow multiple steps in the documents to open a ticket, so the ease of use is certainly a big drawback when using Imperva and JSONA products. Lastly, when it comes to Imperva and JSONA, since these are two fundamentally different products, there are a lot of gaps when it comes to integrating them in terms of what their focus areas are and what they were developed. Now, this is something that we believe, because of their different approaches, it may take some time for Imperva to integrate and reconcile the two products. We also believe these two have a long way to go before they catch up with Guardium. This is really the market opportunity for us. Vendors like Google, Amazon AWS, as well as Azure will be encountered in various environments, especially as our client organizations are moving to the cloud. Again, the strength of Guardium here is the hybrid multi-cloud support that we provide, and in addition to that, being able to unify the various aspects of security givens and being able to surface up threats, and more importantly, being able to drive data-centric security environments by being able to provide discovery capabilities with vulnerability assessment capabilities and also risk analysis. Teams often have to deal with multiple solutions in their environments and have to log into multiple products to get a true visibility into the data environment and how it's protected. Security and privacy teams must also find data, establish the proper controls that are in place. And so that's really the reason why we believe we have an advantage over Google, Azure, and AWS when it comes to delivering support that our clients truly desire. These are some objections that we come across in the field and from our clients as well. The right side highlights some responses that we have for you that could help further a discussion and have a conversation with your customer to ask some of these probing questions so that you can highlight the value that Guardium Data Protection offers. IBM Data Security's mission is to provide modern data security that meets the needs of a complex and ever-changing cloud world. Our strategy is focused around those pillars which we call adaptable, connected, and intelligent, and we are focused on driving new capabilities and innovation into Guardium that will help Guardium become more adaptable, more intelligent, and more connected so that it can grow and evolve with you as your data security landscape and needs change. Guardium Data Protection clients are seeing results. Recently, IBM commissioned Forrester Research to interview a long-time Guardium client with a fairly mature deployment. From that engagement, they put together a projection of potential benefits that Guardium can provide to new clients. Some of the exciting highlights and key findings from the report include reduced likelihood of a data breach by 40%, increased automation that saves hours of staff time, reduced effort required to complete an audit by 75%. The client is able to work more efficiently and better secure their organization's data with Guardium. Guardium Data Protection has been helping important organizations, large and small across industries, to successfully protect their data so that they can concentrate on growing their business. As shown here, numerous companies that are critical to the health of the economy depend on Guardium Data Protection for their data security and compliance needs. To sum it up, Guardium Data Protection can help customers take a modern, zero-trust approach to data security as threats continue to grow. Guardium is positioned to help you proactively stay ahead of the threats with intelligent analytics. Guardium can help adapt and modernize your data program as your data landscape evolves. And as your business transforms and moves to the cloud, Guardium helps you get your arms around threat response and the ever-changing security and privacy regulations with fewer silos. Additionally, data security has been delivered by disparate products, which has resulted in operational inefficiencies and an incomplete view of the data security and compliance landscape. Guardium, as a mature and market-leading data security platform, solves these challenges by aggregating data protection requirements across data types, storage silos, and ecosystems, significantly increasing the visibility of and control over data, and therefore helps put organizations in a position to truly secure their data. IBM Guardium is a market-leading data security platform to protect what matters most, your enterprise data, whether in the cloud or on-premise. IBM Security Guardium delivers value by providing an end-to-end data security framework covering discovery and classification, vulnerability management, protection, threat detection, and response. Key capabilities of the portfolio include automatically discover and classify sensitive data across on-prem and cloud. Guardium Discover and Classify, in partnership with OneTouch, provides visibility, context, and insight into data. It uses network analytics, AI, and machine learning to continuously find and catalog sensitive and protected data of any type, anywhere. Guardium Discover and Classify is a powerful complement to Guardium products and the IBM security portfolio. Encrypt and protect data at rest, in motion and in use with encryption, tokenization, data masking, and key management capabilities. Guardium Data Encryption helps protect and control access to data across the hybrid multi-cloud environment. Additionally, monitor activity across clouds from a centralized hub using Guardium Insights. Guardium Insights can either work together with Guardium Data Protection or on its own through agentless streaming directly from database as a service sources such as AWS Kinesis and Azure Event Hubs to help organizations streamline data security and compliance infrastructure and processes. Help automate compliance using Guardium Data Protection to uncover regulated data in your data stores and generate reports using pre-built templates for regulations such as PCI, SOX, HIPAA, and many more. Detect malicious behaviors and threats and respond by scanning for known weaknesses related to configuration, user privileges, authentication, authorization, patches, and more using Guardium Vulnerability Assessment. Guardium Vulnerability Assessment scans data environments to detect vulnerabilities, security gaps, and threats that could be exploited by hackers and suggest remedial actions. When planning various releases, Guardium development considers many sources as input. These include RFEs, or new ideas, challenges from customers and field technical members, alignment with the broader security vision, and trends that are observed across a large pool of customers. This and the next few slides highlight some key deliverables with version 12 of Guardium Data Protection. RFEs supported span many existing features that offer ease of use and requests to improve the platform. Integrations at the end of the day help in addressing a day in the life for a security analyst. There has been tremendous effort from the development teams in improving Guardium Data Protection and introducing new features so that the daily tasks for Guardium users become more efficient and easier to perform. These improvements have been categorized into 4 key areas. The first one is the ability to manage security programs using real-time insights. This essentially implements advanced analytics and smart alerting on high-risk access and connections that can help organizations detect insider threats faster and with more accuracy. The second area of compliance is where these new improvements become apparent. Conforming to compliance and implementing these programs becomes easier, especially with better speed and accuracy when performing data discovery and classification. Improved reporting and a more efficient VA audit process make implementing compliance faster and more efficient. Guardium Infrastructure Management is the next area that has been eagerly anticipated with a lot of Guardium clients. Enhancements here focus on maintenance, ease of use improvements for administration, visibility across appliances, and improved support. There are enhancements on hardening and better security for appliances as well. With the burgeoning cloud environments that need to be secured, IBM Security has broadened support for cloud hybrid and cloud environments. This involves enhanced monitoring and support for data protection irrespective of where it resides, together with increased and enhanced support for those cloud sources. The benefits of real-time insights and advanced threat analytics include removing data clutter with additional filtering, thus making the security analyst's life that much easier. This allows analysts to focus on investigations and prioritize what is important to cases being worked on. The option to exclude activities and entities further enhances the reduction of noise and false positives. This may include eliminating activities that originate from a test or known production entities. With Real-Time Trust Evaluator, or RTTE, the tool has significantly reduced the time taken for analysis by automatically grouping the trusted or untrusted connections. In version 11.5, grouping these connections was manual and can now be done automatically and used in monitoring policies. Session-level policy enhancements help reduce the load on Guardium appliances by running ahead of the security policy in place. This has been simplified and can now be done in the user interface as opposed to having to use the CLI or Guard application programming interface. The theme here is simplification of use, and these enhancements help remove ambiguity and improve efficiency. Runtime sensitive object identification processes response data by looking for predefined patterns that match personally identifiable and other sensitive information. RSOI matches user selectable patterns for data such as credit card numbers, international bank numbers, email addresses, and personal identification numbers for various countries. The theme here again is simplification, and similar to SLP, these can now be done through the user interface. Guardium Data Protection version 12 helps drive compliance programs more efficiently through improvements in 4 specific functional areas. These areas include data discovery and classification, audit processes, reporting, and vulnerability assessments. Data discovery and classification now supports any marker for catalog or metadata search. This is important because large organizations that continue to use metadata search capability would want to execute the searches faster and want to identify cases where 2 different elements can potentially have sensitive data. To be able to exclude groups using wildcard characters make this a lot easier. Previous versions had this feature, but was only part of data search. This feature now provides the ability to use a wildcard to exclude system tables, for example, that have information that is known not to contain sensitive data, thereby making classification faster and reducing the load on the target. Providing the flexibility of adding and removing recipients from an audit process is crucial because companies with many of these processes find it difficult to make changes to the recipients without rebuilding the audit process. This latest version of Guardium also supports the ability to implement groups of regular expressions, which applies to not only audit processes, but also across discovery and classification. Reporting is a function that is continually evolving. Improvements include better usage reporting, data source imports, and session timeout reporting. Similar to the audit process, column headers can now be customized for alerts. Key enhancements with vulnerability assessments are focused on performance and optimization. Guardium will now create a single connection for any CVE test and a single connection for non-CVE tests. What this means is that if there are 100 CVE tests for a database type and a customer is running the test on 10 databases in the older Guardium world, this would require 1,000 database connections. But with this enhancement in version 12, the number of connections will come down to only 10, which corresponds to 1 per database. This vulnerability management process is more streamlined with tighter integration of ServiceNow. Additionally, more tests can be run because of support for new data sources and benchmark updates. This slide highlights administration and platform enhancements that were introduced with version 12 for better visibility, support, and platform hardening. The simplification of managing Guardium infrastructure is an area where version 12 introduces numerous improvements by providing enhancements across patching managed units, improved load balancing, platform improvements, Looper UI, and login dumper. Providing visibility of patching across multiple Guardium managed units called CM Health View provides a consolidated view of metrics across all Guardium managed units, irrespective of the number. The introduction of a new appliance type provides for easy onboarding and simpler configuration with a fresh install of this new type of aggregator. It also gives customers 3 critical health metrics across the entire Guardium deployment in a single pane. The 3 views include a deployment health topology, deployment health table, and an STAP and GIM dashboard. A huge platform improvement is the enhanced load balancing, the ability to create a cluster of STAPs to monitor health and traffic, and the ability to monitor traffic on 2 different types of configurations across a cluster to support high availability. There is also support for TLS 1.3 for better encryption, along with support across the portfolio for FIPS 140 compliance, which is an out-of-the-box feature for version 12. Other platform improvements include error reporting when a conflicting third-party application is deployed alongside STAP. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 currency updates provides additional security upgrades for a more secure environment. Looper UI and Login Dumper are other improvements for version 12. These Looper logs, message dumps, along with must-gather information are used by Guardium technical support to help reproduce and resolve customer issues. The Looper saves a message dump when the conditions that are specified are found in the customer's environment, such as incorrect database usernames or missing session parameters. After these conditions are satisfied, the Looper saves the must-gather data alongside the message dump. Guardium technical support can replay the message dumps in IBM's secure environment to reproduce the issue. This significantly reduces log configuration and collection from months to weeks before engineering is engaged in a support issue. Log files can be centralized on a single appliance like a central manager as opposed to individual appliances. This also reduces the number of log files being stored and facilitates faster response with support and engineering teams. Another enhancement is the ability to look at specific sessions without the need for collecting must-gather for different types of traffic, allows the inspection of specific problematic sessions, again reducing the amount of log data captured. There are many resources available to help. The Guardium landing page on Seismic provides a one-stop shop for the main IBM Security Guardium assets to learn, sell, and to compete. There are links to IBM Security Guardium, learning courses, competition, sales talks, sales tactics, sales kits, and more. All relevant Guardium assets in a single location to make it easier to find any required information. Should you need any further info on pricing or sizing of a Guardium deal, product support, or even information on the presentation itself, please reach out to folks mentioned on this slide. Thank you again for taking the time, and I hope that this presentation was beneficial to you.